welcome to another edition of Straight Shooting Sports Talk. I'm your host, Dujane Bland, as you already knew. And we're going to get into the news that Colin Kaepernick is, he's going to be a starter. He's going to make a comeback, and I know that certain people have some feelings about that, so we're going to talk a little bit about that, and we're going to talk a little bit about the Miami Dolphins. As you guys know, I live here in Florida, and that's one of the hot topics among many with the Jacksonville Jaguars and living so close to New Orleans Saints country. But Dolphins talk is something that we hear about around here a lot, and it's unfortunate to see this team where it is with all the talent that they have on the roster. And we're going to talk about whether Ryan Tannehill really is the future, or could this be the last year for him? Let's get back to this Colin Kaepernick change up here. As we all know, Cullen had a little shoulder surgery. I believe it was in his throwing arm. Many saw that if you look at this guy, he's not the same that he was in his playoff years. In his playoff years, Blaine Gabbert has been starting since week 1. And with that notion, Blaine is 1-4. He's not very good over his career. I believe he's like 9-31 on his career. He has 5 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, and you don't want that kind of an interception to touchdown ratio. You want to have it a lot better than that. He's 58% in his completion percentage, and he's only mustered up 890 yards. Now, you can say he doesn't have receivers, this or that, but I've watched a couple of these games, and I've seen guys making plays for him. But I've also seen him miss a lot of plays as well. Now, he has the ability to run the ball, and he has done that a few times this year. 39 carries, 172, 2 touchdowns. Longest run is 24 yards. So he's made some plays for this team. And if you look at the first half of that Cowboys game, I think a lot of us were like, who's in Blaine Gabbert's jersey? Because I don't know who that guy is. He played lights out, and then he fell back to earth. And began to stink up the joint. Now we are 6 games in, and when you look at this division, if you are a San Francisco 49ers fan, you look at this division and say, if we can catch fire, we have an opportunity. I'm not saying that they're going to contend for the division, but they at least have an opportunity to make it a respectable season. When you look at that division, you have the Seahawks at 3-1. They haven't looked like world beaters. They haven't looked like the Super Bowl champion Seattle Seahawks by any means. When you look at the Los Angeles Rams, they've won in spite of Jeff Fisher with journeyman quarterback, and that defense, up and down be it, but they have won 3 games, amazingly. Then you have the Arizona Cardinals that we all have been duped by. They definitely don't look like they once were. Pretty much a shell of themselves. Carson Palmer, not the Carson Palmer of last year, and the defense is just giving up explosive play after explosive play, finding them at 2-3. So you win a couple games, and you're right back in this thing, right? I mean, they get a couple wins, and they can find themselves right in the thick of things, and at least making it a respectable season at 8-8. Now, many say that Blaine has done a halfway decent job with the parts and pieces that, he's been given. And I understand that. But in the same breath, we've seen him make some errant throws. Most of it is dink and dunk, not a lot of deep balls. And when he does throw the deep ball, it's not very accurate. And they have a running game in Carlos Hyde. But and he's able to run the ball. I mean, 172 yards over 5 games. He's got 2 TDs. He's not like super fast, and might be deceptively fast, I guess. But he's not super fast. But this team needs a spark, and if you look at the games that they've been in, even the games that they have won, um, the defense has been a huge part of that. With the exception of, well, they stomped the Rams and skunked them. Um, but the offense can't sustain. They're averaging about 4.5 yards per play, and that's just simply not going to cut it. And that's in the passing game. That's just not going to cut it. That leads to a lot of quick 3-and-outs. And you can tell at times that Chip doesn't really trust him to put the ball in the air too many times. But they haven't, I mean, they had 150 attempts. It's not a whole lot. But I think we've seen enough of the sample size. I mean, you look at the tape on Blaine Gabbert earlier in his career, not very good. Don't think he should have been drafted where he was drafted, and now you see the tape over the first 5 games. I think we've seen all we need to see with Blaine Gabbert. Now, the question is, what do you have? What do you have in Cullen? That will be remain to be seen. But this is what Cullen had to say about him being named a starter this week.
Conversation before we got going to practice. Told me I was up this week. Excited about it. Ready to go. Hoping I can bring up more to this team and try to get us a win this Sunday.
How do you feel physically?
Good. I'm ready to go. Especially we had a few days off, so back at it. Getting ready.
You spoke to us in June about perhaps changing some things about your physique and maybe not being as bulky as you've been. Is that still the plan? I mean, are you going to be the same physically now as you were, last year at this time?
No, my biggest thing is trying to focus on strength and make sure I'm physically ready to play. Whether that means my weight's higher or lower, I don't think that's a huge deal. More so where my strength is at, and I feel very comfortable with that.
Well, the game this week.
Now, weight definitely doesn't matter. No, he's definitely not the guy he was. He's not as big as he was. But the question is, will his arm strength will be there? And I think if anybody saw the last preseason game that he played in, he looked quite well. And I think everyone from the media to fans of this team probably thought that his job was pretty much on the line at that point. And he needed to show something to warrant them leaving a roster spot for him. I think this is going to be a great spark for this team. It's something that is definitely needed, and we're going to see if they can open it up now. They can stretch the field a little bit, and if you can open it up and hit a few of those deep balls, now you're talking about your running game opening up, and then Cullen can still run the ball, and he's a lot faster than Blaine Gabbert, and they'll get an opportunity to see what Kaepernick has against the Buffalo Bills this Sunday in Buffalo. 1:00 start. So that's something I will be wanting to watch as well, to see what Cullen does outside of all this, kneeling for the flag and all that stuff. Let's get to football and see what this guy has left in the tank, and whether he can be the future of this team. Now let's go and talk about the Miami Dolphins a little bit. Once again, a team that seems to find a way to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. They are 1-4 as well, in a division that really, with Brady down, Garoppolo and a guy whose last name looks like Brisket, Jacoby Brissett at quarterback, you would have thought that between the Jets, Buffalo, and really between the Jets and the Miami Dolphins, that these two teams would have had a shot to kind of take advantage of Tom Brady being out. And they failed to do so. Uh, Ryan Fitzpatrick looks like Ryan Fitzpatrick of his early career, one of those things of
they are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook.
Yep, that's what he looks like. And it's unfortunate because they really, really need him to be more consistent. And with Ryan Tannehill, that's the same thing. They need some consistency at that position. Now, when you look at his numbers, for the year, he's 6 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Out of 156 passes, he's completed 100. So 56 misses, not too bad. Quarterback rating, not too bad. But I'm going to tell you, I know a lot of people feel like this guy doesn't have a lot of protection. And he doesn't. You look at his quarterback rating, 64%. So he doesn't have a lot of protection. He's taken 17 sacks this year. And I think if anybody saw that Cincinnati game, it was like a revolving door. Guys were just, it looked like at times guys just stepped right to the side and let the defense get right after him. And it also doesn't help that they get behind early, not able to establish a running game, not able to sustain drives, going 3 and out a lot. When you get behind and you get in a passing situation, guess what? Defense pins their ears back and they come after you with a vengeance. Because they know that's the only thing you can do, especially when you're down 21-3, 21-10, 24-10. It makes you one-dimensional. Now, I will reference, which I'm not trying to put Tannehill in the same category as Andrew Luck, but Andrew Luck does not have a great offensive line as well. And when you look at Andrew Luck's numbers, he's 63.9% passing. He's thrown the ball 205 times. His touchdowns to interception ratio, he has 10 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. And you know this guy can be an interception machine as well. He has been sacked 20 times in 5 games. 20 times in 5 games. And yet, this team is 2-3 and have been in a lot of their games as well. They've been right there. I think they maybe got manhandled maybe once this year. Not really. No. They've been in every game within 2 or 3 points, within 3 to 4 points, put it that way. So is this an organizational thing for the Miami Dolphins? Well, we know the history. But when you look at this roster, I mean, you have guys like Jarvis Landry, Devontae Parker, Kenny Stills, Jordan Cameron. The weapons are there. Now, I know Arian Foster, the injury, Drake there, but then they have to find a way, whether it's through screens, whether it's through bubble screens, to establish a run game first. But see, there's a difference between Luck and Tannehill as well. See, Luck can rise under pressure. Tannehill has a tendency to freeze when under a lot of pressure. And when he freezes, he may either makes mistakes or he just continues to eat the ball because he's afraid of making a mistake or taking a chance. You got to do better with that. Is his future done? Well, that's going to remain to be seen. But the way he's playing right now and not being able to win games and sustain drives, it doesn't look good for him. They could be drafting a quarterback at the beginning of next season or in the draft next year. So we'll see. We thank you for listening to the show. Again, check out my work at sportsjourney.com. You guys have a good night.